Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. Today, as you can see, I have one final Halloween crafty collaboration with my sweet friend Lisa over at Ink Paper Scissors Fun. Obviously, this is part of my Halloween card series for 2021, and these are the 4 fun ATCs I'm making today. I'm using these Whimsy Stamps products as well as a few others, and I will have everything listed and linked downstairs in the description box. And let's just jump right into it. I have to say that I love these images so much. They're from the SurReally Cool Halloween Slimline paper pack. And I was at a loss of what to do because I love them so much. Like, how do you improve on that? I love it. So I was stuck. I was definitely at a stuck point. I reached out to my daughter and I asked her to choose 4 because there are 15 of these ATC images. So I asked her to choose 4. And then again, when I sat down, I had so little direction. But I just started playing. I started making some frames and cutting out some background dies or background shapes with the fun frame dies. This is the ATC, nope, hang on. I want to give you the right name. ATC Antique Frames die set. And I love these frames. Not obviously they're specifically sized for ATCs, but they can be used for lots of different purposes. So I cut some of the images out with the frames, I cut some backgrounds out with the frames, and then there are these 2 of the images, the creepy jack-o'-lantern, I love him, but he's creepy, and the girl, I just wanted them to be square. So cut everything out, have all my bits and pieces. I'm at a loss. You can see me tapping my fingers like, now what? Where do I go? So I have these ATC sized white panels cut down as well. So I'm just kind of auditioning things like, let's get some inspiration. Let's see what works with what. I like the black and white of this jack-o'-lantern paper. That is from the Vintage Halloween 6x6 paper and pack. And again, I'll have everything listed downstairs. So I cut that down. You see how it's orange on black, whereas the Harlequin is black on orange. So it's the same color combo. It's just kind of reversed in terms of the focus color, if you will. So again, just auditioning everything. What do I like? What do I not like? What do I want to alter? And then I get a little bit of an inspiration. So I decide that I like the white frame around the square ones. And I like the idea of the simple frame around the images without cutting anything out, without altering anything per se. But then these backgrounds, because I only need 2 of the shaped pattern paper backgrounds. So this is where that inspiration comes. I decide to make a larger frame using the opposite die because there are 2 different sets of dies and they're different shaped. And so I take this shape and I put it inside the other shape, and I don't even know what to call them. I don't know what to call the shapes. Anyway, I use opposing sets, if that makes any sense. So the outside of the frame is a different shape than the inside. And I think I'm probably making it worse, so I'm going to move on. But I do it with the neutral kind of moody, broody striped pattern paper as well as the black and orange Harlequin. So I end up with 2 of the larger frames, and I'm using the second largest die and the third largest die to make those larger frames. And here I go again, patterning or auditioning everything together. You can see that I cut that one wonky, but let me encourage you, don't give up on your stuff. If you cut something wrong or if you smudge something or whatever, don't give up on it. You can so easily like cover things up, camouflage, all those things. I mean, that's just, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your bits and bobs, because you can use them in lots of different ways. And then once the whole thing is composed, you don't even know that something is askew. It just adds to the character. So I did a little bit of ink blending, and here I thought, ooh, let me do some ink blending through this stencil. Now this stencil is a Whimsy Stamps stencil as well. Formal lattice, but unfortunately it's no longer available at Whimsy, but it's one of my favorite. It's like a quatrefoil design, and I love a quatrefoil. I love stripes, I love polka dots, obviously I love Harlequin. Yeah, I like lots of different things. But these 2 are 2 of my favorite, the Harlequin and the quatrefoil. Love them. Yeah, so did a little bit of ink blending with my Pink Fresh Studio. I want to say that was a Clementine ink. And then I brought in these stickles. They are mercury glass stickles. The only reason I chose them is because they were on my desk. Truly. And I used the same stencil and the same stickles on this card because I want them to coordinate, right? It's a set of 4, so there needs to be something that links them together besides the artistry, at least in my opinion. So the color scheme and then the stenciling, yeah, those are kind of the uniting factors, and there will be more as we go. So on the creepy little Jack Skellington guy, he's creeping out of a window. That's an awning over his head. So I put the Harlequin stencil there with some of my pasta sculptura, and then I did the same around the creepy jack-o'-lantern. I actually did some ink blending with him first. And then these gray frames, so I cut out the small black frames as well as the small gray frames, and the gray was just too pale. So I just ink blended a little bit of black ink over them just to darken them up a little bit. They're still really kind of a charcoal gray, but not quite as soft as they were originally. So I love the fact that these smaller frames fit perfectly inside these larger frames that I cut out. So I added a little bit of glue, glued this down, and I think it just finishes it off. Now, can you still see that it's wonky? Yep. But as we go, that wonkiness, it just doesn't even matter anymore. So I added a little bit of foam strips. It is the Derice double-sided foam strips to the back of this one. And a little bit of wet glue just so I'd have some wiggle room, and glued it down, framing that little jack-o'-lantern guy. So this guy, I was still at a bit of a loss. Excuse me. Auditioning things. Did I like the Harlequin? Did I like the stripe? And ultimately what I chose, and I don't know that it was a conscious choice or not, but I ended up with a nice balance, at least in my opinion, of the traditional black and orange with the Moody Broody neutral stripe on each card. So I'm really happy about that. And again, I don't know if that was a conscious choice or if it just happened, and that's what pleased my eye in that moment. But on these thinner frames, I wanted them to pop up too, so I took those same Derice foam strips and cut them in half. Now they're pretty narrow already. I don't know the measurement. Numbers and I don't get along. They're probably less than 1/8 of an inch, or maybe about 1/8. If anyone knows, you can drop it downstairs if you care to. But I cut them in half and used them to line the back of these small frames. So that was a feat because they're very, very flimsy and wanted to get in my way. Excuse me. But once again, I persevered. So as I'm auditioning my pieces, as I'm figuring out how they're all going to come together, I decided that this white panel needed some orange. So I did that little bit of ink blending, cleaning up my mess so I don't get it smudged everywhere, because trust me, I would do that. Yep, and then I decided I liked the idea of using my scissors to kind of rough up those edges. I know, I think it's Tim Holtz and Ranger have like a distress edger that you can use. They also have the decal trimmer. I have some decal scissors from 100 years ago, it seems like, but I just like the idea of taking the scissors just to rough up the edge of the paper. That's all. Just add that other layer of character, of interest to the cards. So moving along with him, got him mounted to the background, and then I take this sweet little goth girl and I mount her. Excuse me. She is mounted onto a white frame, which is mounted onto the what is it called? The jack-o'-lantern pattern paper. And here I'm adding another of the small frames, auditioning it over the larger frame. And I didn't like the larger frame because it didn't have the black and orange. It was too much of the neutral. So I just brought the black in, and I feel like that just kind of made everything pop. And remember, that background panel is the black and orange. So there's a little bit of black and orange on this one as well. And then the ink that I ink blended before I put the stickles down, that was orange as well. So got the orange, got the black, got the neutral, doing my distress edging, popping up the pieces as appropriate, and then on to my last one. So this is kind of the circus scene, and you know, there's always got to be a creepy circus or clown involved, right? Yeah, the Jack Skellington kind of guy, he's kind of a clowny, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, mounting this one up to the Harlequin, and then using just this was one of the gray frames that I ink blended on, so there's a little bit of separation or differentiation between the frame and all of the black on the pattern paper, and just making sure that it lines up right. And this one I did not pop up on foam tape. Yeah, but this little girl, this goth girl, she was actually on the cover of the pattern paper pack that showed all the different images that were included, and I fussy cut her out of that and mounted her up on some double-sided foam tape, and she takes center stage of that circus scene, and I think it's adorable. Creepy, but adorable. And I felt like the white cardstock was just too stark, so just brought in that blending brush, just used the ink that was already on it, some wet glue, and mounted her down. And those are my 4 cards. But then I thought, oh, they still need a little something something. Did I want to stamp some words or anything like that? No, I did not. I just found these fun embellishments that were in my drawer. Some of them are from Stampin' Up, that button, and then there's some images from, or not images, but sequins and things from Sassy and Crafty, from Sparkle Blends. Yeah, I'm really happy with these guys. So these are my 4 cards, my 4 ATCs for my fun Halloween Crafty collab with Lisa over at Ink Paper Scissors Fun. Now guys, I will have her link downstairs. Hop on over and see what she's created. I'm so excited to see what she's created. She gave me a little bit of a sneak peek this morning, and I can't wait to see her projects. I love it. I love collaborating with my crafty friends. Sorry that this one's a little bit late, but October was very full, if you didn't notice. So after today, it'll be on to other things. But let me know downstairs if you have a favorite of these ATCs. And again, this is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thank you for spending some time with me on this morning. And until next time, mwah, I'm out.